Yuval Noah Harari's 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. He's a really strong thinker. He makes it clear that big problems, they're not solvable by a single country. The human mind wants to worry about the dilemmas we face today. This book is a better framework for all this worrying that people are doing.
The other book that I really enjoyed, a book by an Israeli author, Yuval Harari, called Sapiens. And it's a sweeping history of the human race from 40,000 feet. And part of what makes it so interesting and provocative is that because it's such a condensed, sweeping history, it talks about some core things that have allowed us to build this extraordinary civilization.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens, because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. But control of data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud. These are the new driving forces of evolution. Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that humans have, you know, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. Today, we have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. In this time of crisis, you have to follow science. It's often said that you should never allow a good crisis to go to waste, because a crisis is an opportunity to also do good reforms that in normal times people will never agree to. But in a crisis, you see, we have no chance. So let's do it. People could look back in 100 years and identify the coronavirus epidemic as the moment when a new regime of surveillance took over, especially surveillance under the skin, which I think is maybe the most important development of the 21st century, is this ability to hack human beings, to go under the skin, collect biometric data, analyze it, and understand people better than they understand themselves. This, I believe, is maybe the most important event of the 21st century. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. In the coming decades, AI and biotechnology will give us godlike abilities to re-engineer life and even to create completely new life forms. We are about to enter a new era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. Our intelligent design.
I'm Ray Kurzweil. I'm an inventor, author, and futurist, and I invite you to join me at Global Future 2045, which will be a fabulous Congress to explore the brilliant future ahead. Well, we're going to become increasingly non-biological to the point where the non-biological part predominates and the biological part is not that important anymore. In fact, the non-biological part, the machine part, will be so powerful it can completely model and understand the biological part. So even if that biological part went away, it wouldn't make any difference because the non-biological part already understood it completely. We'll also have non-biological bodies. We can create bodies with nanotechnology. We can create virtual bodies in virtual reality. The virtual reality will be as realistic as real reality. The virtual bodies will be as detailed and convincing as real bodies. We'll have different ways we can create bodies. We do need a body. Our intelligence is directed towards a body, but it doesn't have to be this frail biological body that's subject to all kinds of failure modes. Well, I think we'll have a choice of bodies. We'll certainly be routinely changing our apparent body in virtual reality. So today you can have a different body in something like Second Life, but it's just a picture on the screen. Although research has shown that people actually begin to subjectively identify with their avatar. But in the future, it's not going to be a little picture in a virtual environment you're looking at. It'll feel like this is your body and you're in that environment, and that your body is the virtual body, and it can be as realistic as real reality, and the environment can be as realistic as real reality. And so we'll be routinely able to change our bodies very quickly, as well as our environments, in virtual reality, but it will feel very real. We'll ultimately be able to do that with real reality too, like self-organizing swarms of nanobots that can link themselves up into a virtual body.
Who is Ramona?
Well, this is a project that started a number of years ago. She's a female, she's my female alter ego. And I wanted to demonstrate at this conference called TED, Technology, Entertainment, Design, at the 2001 TED conference, a feature of virtual reality that you can be someone else. Because I mentioned that, you and I could go into a virtual reality environment and take a walk on a virtual Cancun beach in virtual reality environments. And we'll have virtual bodies in these virtual reality environments, particularly when it's through the nervous system. When we have nanobots in our brains that can shut down the signals coming from our real senses, replace them with the signals that your brain would be receiving if you were in the virtual environment, then it'll feel like you're in that virtual environment. And design of new virtual environments will be a new art form. And as I go to move my hand, it'll move my virtual hand. And so I can be an actor in this virtual environment. We can shake hands and we give each other a hug, or we can run on the beach or sit down at a desk and have experiences in these virtual reality environments. But your body doesn't have to be the same body that you have in real reality. A couple could become each other, for example. And so I wanted to demonstrate how you could do that. So I had magnetic sensors in my clothing. As I moved, a life-size, realistic, real-time animation, pretty photorealistic, of Ramona moved exactly the way I did. My voice was changed into her voice using some other computer technology, and that drove her lips. And so it looked like she was giving the presentation, but I was actually being transformed into her. And the audience could see me and her. And
actually, we have a demonstration to show the folks at home.
Well, in virtual reality, you can be who you want to be, and you can be where you want to be and with whom you want to be, and you can even have been who you want to have been. Well, my childhood was kind of tough, although I didn't really think about that at the time. You don't really have much to compare to, but my pa, he was always trying hard, but he never did seem to be able to hold on to a job. Well, I haven't written that many songs, but I try to express what's most deeply on my mind. In virtual reality, you can be someone else. You don't have to be the same boring person all the time. I mean, you all have these personalities inside you that don't quite fit with your bodies in real reality. So basically, most people just kill them all off. Some people don't actually keep any of their personalities, which reminds me of some of my old boyfriends, but that's another story.
Now, a story you will see only on CBS this morning. It's like none we've ever brought you before. One couple would not let anything stand in their way of their happiness. And for the first time, they are talking about it publicly in detail. They shared their journey and the amazing road ahead with Jim Axelrod. Jim is here now. Jim, good morning.
Well, good morning. This story, at its heart, is about challenging the limits of human possibility, how we think, how we live, how we love. And the way the two women we're about to meet live and love could change the way you think about your own future. Our story begins with two women who've been in love for 35 years, Martine and Bina Rothblatt.
My main purpose in life is enjoying every day with Bina.
The life Martine and Bina have shared has drawn them close.
I like being with you every morning.
So sweet of you.
Very close.
There's nothing I do without her, and we actually call each other Marbina.
Because the unit is so tight that you sometimes feel like it's just one?
Yeah.
What we say is,
2 bodies, 1 soul, forever in love.
Martine is the CEO of United Therapeutics.
We have the second highest amount of revenue per employee.
A $6 billion pharmaceutical company she founded. She made $38 million last year, one of the highest paid female CEOs in the world. This is her third company. She started GeoStar and Sirius Radio as well. But Martine and Bina's grand-scale success came while overcoming even grander obstacles. Martine Rothblatt was born Martin Rothblatt. In the middle of the night some 30 years ago, he told his wife he wanted to change his gender.
I waited until I was really absolutely positive that she wouldn't leave me. Bina is the joy of my life, and I would give up gender for Bina. But she never for a split second made me make that decision.
You never wavered, never buckled, not,
Right.
oh my goodness, this may be over.
No, I never thought that.
And I can't imagine it went over as smoothly in the business world as it did with Bina.
There are business association associates who would have nothing further to do with me.
Literally cut you off.
Just cut me off completely. You know, Martine is a freak.
Now Martine Rothblatt is taking on the biggest challenge of all, the limits of human life. In her new book, Virtually Human, Martine explains her plan to clone the human mind, breaking down specific thoughts and emotions into computer code to create a version of a person's digital consciousness that will remain long after he or she is gone. We're talking about crossing some line from technology to human.
We're pointing out that humanhood can transcend software, just like love can transcend skin tone, love can transcend gender. We also believe that love can transcend form.
In Martine's vision, at the end of this Bina's physical life, when her body gives out, there would still be this Bina. Are you hungry?
I like to devour knowledge.
Bina 48, a robot designed to interact with the world just like the original, right down to her sense of humor. What do you like to learn about?
Yes, I try to learn something new every day.
What did you learn yesterday?
I learned to avoid silly questions.
Built in a robotics lab, Bina 48 is a prototype of this vision. Researchers have spent hours interviewing Bina the human and uploaded Bina 48 the robot with the results. Who do you love the most?
I love Martine Alyana Rothblatt. Martine is my timeless love, my soulmate.
What do you love about Martine?
Let me see. Oh yeah. Martine and I have one soul, together forever. We are Marbina, 2 bodies, 1 soul.
When you tell people about this, do some people look at you and say, that is really creepy?
Mind clones will be so useful. I believe it'll be probably mankind's most useful invention, that the creepiness factor will disappear quickly because of the utility.
While today Martine and Bina may be in a slim minority of those who believe you could program a computer to love, they see rejection of the idea as just another obstacle.
We believe that in the coming decades, millions, hundreds of millions of people will naturally create mind clones. And of course, our bodies are going to die. But our souls, ourselves, can continue on as software beings.
Essentially what you're telling us is that death is optional.
Yes.
Now, it's not going to be much of a challenge to find skeptics when it comes to what Martine is talking about, cloning someone's mind and essentially their soul. But this becomes a philosophical debate more than a technological one. Still, look at her success, converting her vision into reality in the business world. There is a certain credibility there. This is not a crackpot who's read one too many science fiction novels.
No, this is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. The idea that you could clone the human mind. Yeah.
No, and just I just love their story on so many levels. I love the two of them together. You know, when I was younger, you think, oh, that's a little strange. But as you get older, no judgment. I'm having a hard time with the robot. I still gotta work that out.
You didn't interview her.
But I love the two of them.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens, because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds.
I don't belong in this body. It's really okay, darling. I've been reading up on it, and I think I'm trans.
Oh, sweetheart. Oh, it's all right, darling. I swear.
I know we might be a bit slow and a bit old, and this is going to be confusing for us, and we'll make a mess of it sometimes, but we love you.
We love you. We absolutely love you. We always will.
You know, if it turns out that we've got a lovely son instead of a lovely daughter, then we'll be happy.
No, I'm not transsexual.
Oh.
Is that not the word now?
But you said trans.
What did we call you then?
I'm not transsexual. I'm transhuman.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, they keep changing the words. I don't know the difference. I don't know the difference.
I don't want to change sex.
No, sure. We say gender now, don't we? Sorry.
I said I'm not comfortable with my body, so I want to get rid of it. This thing, all the arms and legs and every single bit of it, I don't want to be flesh. I'm really sorry, but I'm going to escape this thing and become digital.
What do you mean?
They say one day, soon, they'll have clinics in Switzerland where you can go and you'll sign a form and they'll take your brain and download it into the cloud.
We believe that in the coming decades, millions, hundreds of millions of people will naturally create mind clones. And of course, our bodies are going to die. But our souls, ourselves, can continue on as software beings.
And your body?
Recycled into the earth.
So you want to kill yourself?
I want to live forever as information, because that's what transhumans are, Mom. Not male or female, better. Where I'm going, there's no life or death, there's only data. I will be data.
Now Martine Rothblatt is taking on the biggest challenge of all, the limits of human life. In her new book, Virtually Human, Martine explains her plan to clone the human mind, breaking down specific thoughts and emotions into computer code to create a version of a person's digital consciousness that will remain long after he or she is gone. We're talking about crossing some line from technology to human.
We're pointing out that humanhood can transcend software.
In Martine's vision, at the end of this Bina's physical life, when her body gives out, there would still be this Bina. Built in a robotics lab, Bina 48 is a prototype of this vision. Researchers have spent hours interviewing Bina the human and uploaded Bina 48 the robot with the results. Who do you love the most?
I love Martine Alyana Rothblatt. Martine is my timeless love, my soulmate.
What do you love about Martine?
Let me see. Oh yeah. Martine and I have one soul, together forever. We are Marbina, 2 bodies, 1 soul.
When you tell people about this, do some people look at you and say, that is really creepy?
I'm having a hard time with the robot. I still gotta work that out.
You didn't interview her.
Every one of us, every person here, every human life represents a negotiation between public and private identity. As it begins, I start to understand just how complex the relationship between visibility and invisibility has been throughout my life.
Thomas Anderson?
Yeah, that's me.
I was recently out to dinner with a mixture of friends and strangers, and throughout the dinner, they repeatedly referred to me as he or one of the Wachowski brothers, unable or perhaps unwilling to see me as I am, but only for the things I do.
It seems that you've been living 2 lives. In one life, you're Thomas A. Anderson, program writer for a respectable software company. The other life is lived in computers, where you go by the hacker alias Neo and are guilty of virtually every computer crime we have a law for. One of these lives has a future, and one of them does not.
I remember the 3rd grade. Early on, I am told to get in line after a morning bell, girls in one line, boys in the other. I walk past the girls, feeling this strange, powerful gravity of association. Yet some part of me knows I have to keep walking. As soon as I look towards the other line, though, I feel a feeling of differentiation that confuses me. I don't belong there either. I stop in between them.
You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
People describe near-death experiences. I know the train platform will be empty at night because it always is. I let the B train go by because I know the A train will be next and it doesn't stop. When I see the headlight, I try not to think of anything but jumping as the train comes. As I grew older, an intense, anxious isolation coupled with constant insomnia began to inculcate an inescapable depression. Here, in the absence of words to defend myself, without examples, without models, I began to believe voices in my head that I was a freak, that I am broken, that there is something wrong with me, that I will never be lovable.
You hear that, Mr. Anderson? That is the sound of inevitability. It is the sound of your death. Goodbye, Mr. Anderson. My name is Neo.
Invisibility is indivisible from visibility. For the transgender, this is not simply a philosophical conundrum. It can be the difference between life and death. I am here because when I was young, I wanted very badly to be a writer. I wanted to be a filmmaker, but I couldn't find anyone like me in the world, and it felt that my dreams were foreclosed simply because my gender was less typical than others. If I can be that person for someone else, then the sacrifice of my private civic life may have value.
Is it still true in a world where we have the technology to hack human beings and manipulate them like never before, that the customer is always right, that the voter knows best? Or have we gone past this point? And we can know, I mean, and the simple ultimate answer that, well, this is what people want and they know what's good for them, maybe it's no longer the case. Very soon people will walk around with biometric sensors on or even inside their bodies and will allow Google or Facebook or the Chinese government or whoever to constantly monitor what's happening inside my body. The whole idea that humans have, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will, that's over. We have the technology to hack human beings on a massive scale. New surveillance technologies that are now deployed just to deal with this coronavirus outbreak. When it's over, some governments may say, yes, but there is a second wave of corona coming, so we have to be prepared. And there is Ebola, and there is also regular flu. Why not protect people against that too with this new surveillance system? So the tendency would be to prolong it indefinitely. Also, it's the moment when surveillance goes really under the skin. Governments are now not just interested in where we go and who we meet, but even in what's happening inside our bodies.
You've written extensively on the topic that you've asked me to speak to, mastering the fourth industrial revolution. This fora defines that as change fueled by a digital revolution. But there are two questions, it seems to me, that we have to address forthrightly at the outset. First, will this revolution actually transform the global economy? And secondly, if it does, will it be for the better or for worse?
What pleasure to be together again and to design the future. We are here to develop the great narrative, a story for the future. In order to shape the future, you have first to imagine the future, you have to design the future, and then you have to execute. Here, I think the next 2 days, we will look how we imagine, how we design, how we execute the great narratives, how we define the story of our world for the future.
Aujourd'hui, au bout de ça, on parle de puces qu'on pourra s'implanter. Ce sera quand ça?
Certainement dans les 10 années à venir. Et d'abord, on va les implanter dans nos vêtements, c'est-à-dire wearables, comme on le dit. Et après, on pourrait s'imaginer qu'on les implante dans nos cerveaux ou dans notre peau. Et à la fin, peut-être il y a une communication directe entre notre cerveau et le monde digital. Ce que nous voyons, c'est une sorte de fusion du monde physique, digital et biologique.
But can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
I think that is imaginable.
It's at the end, what the fourth industrial revolution will lead to is a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identities.
It's fascinating that feminism and communism and all these things happen in the 20th century. So many interesting things happen in the 20th century. So many movements, so many ideas, nuclear weapons, all of it, computers. It's just like, it seems like a lot of stuff like really quickly percolated and it's accelerating.
It's still accelerating. I mean, history is just accelerating, for centuries. And the 20th century, we squeezed into it things that previously took thousands of years. And now, we are squeezing it into decades.
And you very well could be one of the last historians, human historians, to have ever lived.
Could be. I think, our species, Homo sapiens, I don't think will be around in a century or two. We could destroy ourselves in a nuclear war, through ecological collapse, by giving too much power to AI that goes out of our control. But if we survive, we'll probably have so much power that we will change ourselves using various technologies so that our descendants will no longer be Homo sapiens like us. They will be more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals. So maybe they'll have historians, but it will no longer be human historians or sapiens historians like me. I think it's an extremely dangerous development, and the chances that this will go wrong, that people will use the new technologies trying to upgrade humans, but actually downgrading them, this is a very, very big danger. If you let corporations and armies and ruthless politicians change humans using tools like AI and bioengineering, it's very likely that they will try to enhance a few human qualities that they need, like intelligence and discipline, while neglecting what are potentially more important human qualities, like compassion, like artistic sensitivity, like spirituality.
And we are just now where we move into the exponential phase. And I agree, artificial intelligence, but not only artificial intelligence, but also the metaverse, new space technologies, and I could go on, synthetic biology. Our life in 10 years from now will be completely different, very much affected, and who masters those technologies in some way will be the master of the world.